Shalom family. This video is for my sisters, and I'm going to be dealing with women staying in their own lane, especially those of you who are married. I remember years ago when around the time I first got married, shortly thereafter, I visited my aunt, and we were having a lot of conversations. One of the reasons why I was on the visit is because I felt like I needed to get away. Many of you already know that I'm much younger than my husband, so early in our marriage we had some things that we had to adjust to. Both of us had some adjusting to do. Him dealing with a younger woman, me dealing with an older man who was established in his manhood and already had some ways that had set in. And it wasn't, I'm not going to say it was difficult. I'm going to say that it was a challenge because many of the things that we had disagreements about, I would say when we look back on them, sometimes we laugh. We were contending over that. You know, one of them was paint. I like to use the paint one because that one is the most simplistic. The kids are playing right now. They let one of the little puppies off the chain, and the little one, the little one, she doesn't like the dog chasing her or the puppy chasing her. Anyway, back to the video. It was simple things, and not saying that we didn't have something more heavy duty. We had heavy duty things too, but in dealing with some of the more light things, like my husband not agreeing with the color of paint or what have you, some things I just didn't understand. When he said I couldn't wear braids, I was like, okay, fine, I can't wear braids, you know. So when you really think about some of those things, they were very minute, but they feel serious at the moment. You know, when you're going through these things, they feel serious to you, and you're saying to yourself, well, you know, as a woman, you're saying to yourself, well, why can't I wear braids? One time in which we can get a chuckle out of this too, is because my husband don't even eat chicken anymore, but I can remember early in our marriage, he said, if he's fasting, don't fry no chicken. And I can remember saying, so I can't eat chicken if you're fasting. I mean, I didn't do it. I didn't fry it. If he didn't want to smell chicken when he was fasting, I accommodated him on that. But at the same time, I'm like, you know, but we did a lot of adjusting, both of us, a lot of adjusting to fit one another's needs and desires. But I can remember my aunt, back to what I was about to talk about. I like to use real life examples when, you know, when I'm talking about these things, because anyone could, you know, talk about someone else's experience, which is nothing wrong with that either. But coming from a position of being in those shoes before, I can articulate better in terms of what I've gone through versus what someone else has gone through. Okay, with those things I'd just be sharing a story or a scenario or someone else's experience, but sharing my own experiences makes it easier for me to explain what I'm going to say to you. Okay, back in your own lane, stay in your own lane. I remember my aunt saying that to me because I was having a very candid conversation with her. I went to, she lives in Indiana, so I went to visit her in Indiana, and I felt like I needed some time. I felt like I needed a little breathing room. And so I went to visit my aunt. From there I went to St. Louis to visit some of my family, my dad and some of my other siblings, and some of my other aunts and uncles. But anyway, when I was there in Indiana visiting one of my aunts, and we were talking, she just said, "Gal," she has a country accent to me, she does. she said, "Gal, stay in your own lane," you know. And I was explaining to her, you know, some different things that were weighing heavy on me. And her words were wise. Her words were wise. Whether I'm right or wrong in something, stay in your own lane. Even if your husband is just not seeing things a certain way, and you can't quite understand why not, stay in your own lane. Stay in your own lane. When we get out of our lane as women, it can cause more harm than good. Okay? So what if you don't agree with him? Even if you think, there are some women who say, I'm frying my chicken, I don't care what he say. Now, I think that's downright disrespectful, okay? If your husband says don't fry the chicken because he's fasting and he don't want to smell it, accommodate him, okay? Even if you don't understand it, just do it. And when a woman steps out of her lane, she goes in there, she fries the chicken anyway. The scripture says a wise woman builds her house and a foolish woman plucketh it down with her hands. In other words, you are tearing your family apart, even though you might be right in something, even though your husband may do something that you don't feel needs to be addressed in the way that he's addressing it. So be it. Just pray your way through that thing. Don't allow fleshly desires and emotions to cause you to cause a bitter strife or strife between you and your husband. Okay? Not saying that everything is going to be perfect in any marriage, okay? Husbands and wives, they go through things. They don't always agree on everything. But I think there comes a point where sometimes a woman can overstep her bounds and get in the wrong lane. If you're drifting in the wrong lane, you better steer back. Straighten it up, get back in the right lane. If you're a woman who, it's one thing to have strong opinions about things or be very, very opinionated and all of this. We get that, okay? And some of our husbands even get that. But there is a boundary that you don't want to cross. And some women cross that boundary. And I think in our spirits we know if we're crossing that boundary. I think the man knows and the woman knows. Both of you know. And this is where I'm going to say to the women, men, they're going to have to work their thing out between them and the Most High. Especially if you pray and ask the Most High to fix some things, especially if you know you're right in something and you pray and ask the Most High to fix, He will fix it. I believe He will. I could testify to that because there were things that were not per se scriptural that my husband was telling me he didn't want me to do, and I had to do that, okay? And whenever there was a particular thing that I did where I stepped out of bounds and I stepped out of my lane, and it deals with earrings. There is nothing wrong biblically with wearing earrings, right? But my husband asked me not to. And so I would sneak and wear them anyway, right? And the Most High, He did something, and I thank Him for it. He chastised me. You should never wear earrings and it hurts like crazy. It used to hurt like crazy. It was almost like someone was torturing me. It was like someone was taking a knife and just stabbing my earlobes. I mean, it was excruciating pain. But because I wanted to wear them so bad, and I did something I wasn't supposed to do, which was not honor my husband's wishes, the Most High allowed that excruciating pain from wearing earrings to come upon me. Now, the reason I wear earrings now is because as me and my husband have grown in the truth and understanding about the scriptures, he decided that, and he showed me that through scripture there's nothing wrong with it, and that was a teaching that came through the apostolic church that was not right. It was inappropriate. But what made it wrong for me was the disobedience, okay? The not honoring his wishes. And so when the prohibition to wear earrings was lifted, no longer do I have pain when I wear them. You see, it's okay now. It's okay now. But I thank Yah for His chastisement and showing me that even with that, don't step out of your lane. If you were asked not to wear braids, now on the braids I did what He said with that, because that's not something you can sneak and do, right? When I was working, it was easy to sneak and wear earrings, right? And I've repented for that. I'm sorry to my husband and to the Most High for not honoring him on that, but I'm thankful that the Most High revealed the truth to him that there is nothing wrong with wearing earrings. So now I wear earrings without a problem, without any pain, with no disobedience. But back to the message, staying in your own lane is so very important with women, because I've seen so many times where women step out of bounds in their relationship with their husband, and men have a breaking point, because there is an order in your household, and that order should be that the man is the head, right? The man is the head. He is supposed to lead the family, right? I want to address something one sister said so that we can make a separation here. As a matter of fact, I think I'm going to do a separate video for this because she had a question as to how to deal with a situation where your husband ain't even trying to do right, or he's not even trying to help with anything. Okay, I want to do a separate video on that to address that for that sister. But if you're dealing with a situation where your husband may not be meeting your standards, but he's a great man, he's doing what he's supposed to do, he's living the way he's supposed to, he's providing, he's doing all the things that a husband is supposed to do, but you all are getting into this, that, and the other all the time. Sometimes we have to examine ourselves. You know, the scripture says, let a man examine himself. And I'm saying, on the flip side of that, let a woman examine herself. We are all to examine ourselves. We can't always assume that we are right in things. Like I said in an earlier video, it takes a very humble person to admit that they are wrong. And women, you're not always right in things. I've come to terms with that. I'm not always right in things. There have been tons of things that my husband was absolutely right on, right? And I don't always disagree with him on things, but there are some things where I might feel one way and he'll feel another way. And then he'll say, well, baby, this is what I think. And then I'll say, you know what? What you're saying makes more sense to me. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there are many times that it doesn't always end or start with a disagreement. It may be a difference of opinion at first, and once the other opinion is presented, you know, like I said, I'll think about. I say, you know what? That makes a whole lot more sense to me. What you said makes a lot, and it seems like it'll flow a lot smoother. See, there was no disagreement there, right? It was just that I said, okay, here I'm thinking ABC would work, and he says, no, I think DEF will work. And I'm saying, you know what? DEF too look like it sounds a lot more plausible to me. And so I'm thankful to the Father that we've been able to grow in that way as husband and wife. And there are times when I'll say that ABC is right, and he'll say DEF is right. And he'll say, you know what, baby, ABC does make sense. When you reason together, you know how the scripture says, come, let us reason together. Come, let us reason together. When you reason together, there doesn't always have to be this battle of the sexes. You see, husband and wife don't always have to battle, because sometimes the agreement is reached right away if you're dealing with someone who's reasonable. But when you have a person that is, whether it's a man or woman, a person that is haughty, self-absorbed, full of pride, in their eyes they are right in absolutely everything, and they can't be wrong. And as a woman, that can be very dangerous. That can be very dangerous for your relationship, because men, they do have a breaking point. They do have a breaking point, and they can get to the point. This is why you see a lot of divorce, because now I'm not talking about the divorce where the man saw some other. He saw Brenda's butt was bigger, and he decided, okay, I know I told you I'd be true, but Brenda's got a big old butt, so I'm leaving you. I'm not talking about those kind of men. I'm talking about men who were doing right, but the woman just couldn't keep her mouth shut. The woman just couldn't stay in her own lane. She kept veering in and out of her lane, cutting him off, pulling all over in his lane, almost running him off the road. You know what I'm saying? A man don't want to be ran off the road by his wife. The Most High needs you to stay in your own lane. He needs you to stay in your own lane. Be a helpmate, okay? Sometimes being a helpmate means that you do have to show your husband. If your husband is not good with, say, finances, that may be something that you will take over. You see? There may be other things that the Most High may want you to help your husband in. Not meant for you to be haughty about it or fluffed up and puffed up in your head, but that you will help your husband, because you should be an extension of him, not the other way around. You know what I'm saying? You should be an extension of your husband. He shouldn't be the one who is, how can I put this, carrying the full load of the family, which includes housework, bringing home the bacon. Okay, in our case, we don't eat bacon unless it's turkey. Okay, should I say bringing home the steak, taking care of the children, bathing them, washing their hair, cooking, cleaning, washing clothes, doing all of that stuff, while you are acting like you're some queen of the Nile who can't get her hands dirty. You see, that's not how the Most High intended things to be. Okay, that is not the proper order of a house. And guess what? If your house is being ran like that, sisters, the Most High is not pleased with that. The Most High is not pleased with that at all. As a matter of fact, he's going to lay the charge on that husband because he is not running his household properly. He is not running his household properly. Of course, you can't browbeat someone and get them to do right, but you need to pray that thing. If that is how your household looks most of the time, you need to pray and ask the Most High to make you truly a virtuous woman so that your husband can be the man that is lifted up to the position that he's supposed to be in, which is leader of that household. You see, again, there is a total difference in a woman who has opinions and something she wants to contribute to the building of the family, strong opinions, a strong spirit, and a woman who is wearing the pants. There are two different things going on there, okay? Anyone who has eyes can tell if a woman is wearing the pants in their family. I'm talking spiritual eyes, because you have people who are so ignorant at times to where they'll see a woman who is very helpful to her husband in terms of even giving advice in certain things. You'll see some people who will see that as a threat to the family structure. You see, my husband has come to me about many things. For instance, let me give a good example. If we're working on a home improvement project, he may say, "Well, baby, what do you think we should do right here? Do you think we should do this or should we do that?" He's asking my opinion on something. He's not getting my permission. You understand what I'm saying? He's not getting my permission. He's asking my opinion. And guess what? Sometimes I give my opinion and he goes with what he originally wanted. So just because he's asking your opinion don't mean that your way is going to be the way. He's just asking for an opinion, you see? And it's very easy to get things so mixed up and messed up in families because you have outsiders who don't always understand what they're looking at, and then you have those on the inside of that marriage, which are the husband and the wife, and sometimes the children, who get things mixed up as well. So I think it's very important that we make sure that we are lining up with the word as it relates to our marriage, that we are staying in our own lane as women, but we are still being positive helpmates who, are not allowing our husbands to go astray, okay? Sometimes you got to pray them up out of these things. Okay, I could say so much more on this video, but I have other things I want to talk about. So I'm going to say shalom to my family, and hopefully you can get a few nuggets out of what I've said here. But I think right now is really important that we as Israelites begin to build our marriages and make them stronger, because the enemy is attacking marriages. He's attacking the minds of men and women, and he's trying to tear it to pieces. So if you don't see the handiwork of the enemy, then you're going to destroy your own marriage, you see. So I'm going to go ahead and close this out. Say I love you, family, and shalom.